This is the Redemption Center for Persons in Distress with another talk on mental health education and awareness. I am Patricia Ngum. On today's edition of the program, we'll be looking at the external factors of distress. And under the external factors of distress, we have environmental factors as well as your company. Under environmental factors, we have natural disasters and man made disasters. We have electronic pollutants as well as chemical pollutants. It is worth noting that researchers have uncovered that very low intensity electromagnetic fields from our electrical appliances and equipment have the capacity of causing depression, distress, or pain, or increasing it. It is also important we know that chemical pollutants in our water, in our food, and in the air also cause distress. If you're living in a highly industrialized area where, say, chemical substances or waste are being disposed in rivers that pollute the water, that pollute our food, and our fairly used vehicles that we use in this part of the globe also help a lot to cause and provoke mental disorders in some persons. It is also worth noting that other environmental factors include natural disasters. Suppose an area is being affected by, say, landslide or flood or volcanic eruption or whatever natural disaster you may name them, tell me, how would one not be traumatized? That is a natural disaster, not in your making, but it has happened. It is natural, but again, you can decide on the management of that stress. You can decide to change the stress to not to be distressed, but rather stress. Stress management is very important. It is not a bad thing to be stressed up, but the way you manage the stress matters. If you manage it poorly or wrongly, it becomes distress. But if you manage it properly in a more positive manner, it rather becomes a stress. So, your perception and your reaction, your behavior toward it matters. We're riding on to the external forces or factors of the stress. We've talked about chemical pollutants in the air, in our water, and in our food. We've talked about electronic pollutants, and now we go to natural disasters. We've already seen them, natural disasters like floods that may sweep away homes and cause people a lot of stress that ends up in distress. We have landslides, we have uh, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and all the likes. And we also have man made disasters that cause distress, such as strikes, such as upheavals, such as wars, such as, cold wars and wars, and all of that. They do contribute a lot to cause and promote distress, depression, anger in individuals. Let's move over now to your company. It is another external factor of distress. The kind of company you keep matters a lot. It is often said that bad company corrupts good manners. And I always say that it is better for you to enjoy good company on your own than to be in wrong and negative company. There are just some company that is not worth keeping at all. It is not you. The factor doesn't come from you, it comes from the outside. And that is why we call it an external factor. How does your company cause depression or distress? For example, let's begin with family. There are some families that are just unbearable. Their requests, their demands are just so enormous. And in it all, they are very, very ungrateful. No matter how much you do for them, they hardly appreciate. Some even never appreciate what you do for them. They keep complaining all the time, and you have nothing else than sometimes even regret why you would spend all your time and resources to take care of people who are just so ungrateful. And it is just so stressful most often when it comes from your own blood. I sometimes term that the absolums. You know, when you are being hurt by an outsider, it is not as painful as when you are being hurt by an insider, by your own blood, by, say, people who confess they love you. That is an external factor of distress. Families that are just so demanding. We have colleagues too who are just so unbearable. At your work site, sometimes you leave a very lovable family, you get to your job site and it's like hell on earth. We also have friends, but in this case, you have a choice to choose your friends. Love is a command, but you are to choose your friends. So, every bad company is not worth keeping. Every bad company is not worth the trouble. So, for you not to get distressed, for you not to fall into depression, for you to remain sane, please mind your company. Like I said, a bad company would corrupt you. A bad company would corrupt you. It is better to enjoy company all by yourself than be in the wrong company. So, whatever the case may be, your perception matters, your reaction matters. Choose to be happy. Choose to be happy. Choose to smile always. Your lifestyle also matters. So, if you want to remain sane in this world of ours today, it is good for you to choose to be happy. Accept every situation as it is because environmental factors, a company, or external factors as a whole are not of your making. Please embrace them. Stop being guilty. Stop blaming yourself for things you cannot change. Once you embrace them, you're helping yourself to live in the now. Take a step at a time and do your best and leave the rest for God. 677-087-801, 677-087-801, the Redemption Center for Persons in Distress, situated in the Northwest Region, Bamenda 2, Mezam Division at mile 90, is a phone call away. If you discover that you have difficulty in falling asleep, if you discover that you sleep just so much, if you realize that you constantly are feeling generalized body pains and aches, if you discover that you're constantly or mostly unhappy, angry, crying, if you realize that you love being isolated, being on your own, if you realize also that You have lost a lot of pleasure in most of the things you used to enjoy before. Please get to meet a counselor. Get to meet a counselor to help you. We're there to provide you with coaching, with counseling, and with what it takes, therapy, even for you to come out of that situation because it is very mortal. The consequences are enormous: drug addiction, suicide, and even death. Thanks for watching. Keep sharing to bless someone. Hi.